For 200 years, Gurkhas have served the British Crown, earning themselves a reputation for courage and loyalty that has never faltered. Today, the relationship between Britain and Nepal is still as strong as ever. Two countries united by a shared history of service. In 2015, the Brigade is celebrating its special anniversary, starting off back where it all began. The Brigade of Gurkhas Bella took place in the capital, Kathmandu, a month before the devastating earthquake hit the country. Thousands of guests from all around the world gathered together, commemorating 2 centuries of history and achievement. Gurkhas have been fighting for the crown since 1815, when 4 regiments were first raised to serve under the East India Company. They've served in every major conflict, demonstrating strength and bravery on the battlefield and securing themselves a much valued place in the Army's future.
I think the British public understands the service that Gurkha soldiers have given to the Crown, particularly in the 2 world wars, but actually over time in a lot of colonial and empire-type engagements, and of course most recently, very significantly in Afghanistan, and on defence engagement tasks. So we're optimistic about the future, and we're fully recruited. There are something like 20 or 30 applicants for every job that we recruit for here in Nepal, and on that basis we should be looking forward to continuing to play a very important role in whatever the British Army does.
Field Marshal Sir John Chappell and representatives from Nepal's government were at the event, alongside representatives from every part of the brigade. Despite the main military tattoo having been cancelled due to bad weather, the Gurkha spirit remains strong. This was only the beginning. In the east of the country, veterans from 7 Gurkha rifles gathered together, while POKHARA in western Nepal hosted the SIRMOOR Durbar, commemorating the 2nd King Edward VII's own Gurkhas, one of the very first battalions to have been formed 2 centuries ago. Lined up according to their years of service, it was a moment of pride. For some, it was perhaps the last time they would ever form up together again. In the crowd sat those who no longer had the strength they once fought with to stand on parade. Widows, friends and family members, together again. The 2nd King Edward VII's own Gurkhas are better known as the SIRMOOR Rifles, or the 2nd Gurkha Rifles. After forming in 1815, their first 40 years were spent in northern India, where they famously marched to Delhi during the Indian Mutiny in 1857. It was their defence and actions during that campaign that earned them a special colour from the Queen's truncheon, which was brought out on parade. Carried on by 98-year-old Captain Bhaktasing Pun.
I'm really proud. I've carried the truncheon before, but it's an honour to do it again. It's great to see my friends, to have this opportunity to see them again before I die. It's just great. I'm very happy to see them.
Led by Field Marshal Sir John Chappell and Lieutenant General Sir Peter Duffel from the SIRMOOR Rifles Association, every soldier was presented with a special SIRMOOR medal. And for one, there was an extra honour, receiving the British Empire Medal for his service and his role setting up the Gurkha Memorial Museum.
Very good, because I had my family also here. My son came from UK, my daughter was in Kathmandu, was here, and my mother, who was 86, was also able to come here to see it. And that was even better, because it was a 2G officer presented to another 2G officer.
The SIRMOOR Rifles fought in Mesopotamia, Persia, France and Iraq before deployments during the Second World War. In 1948, they became part of the British Army, going on to serve across Malaya and Brunei, before being amalgamated to form the Royal Gurkha Rifles in 1994. Outside camp, on the Gurkha Memorial Arch, a plaque was unveiled to mark this history, with a minute's silence to reflect on the lives lost and the years of service past.
It is very emotional because, our route goes back so long in history. And to see so many people, there are people who are more than 100 years old, joining with their old friends, and people coming from the UK in mass number, and from Nepal, all over the place as well, to be united, which they may not have sort of thought that it will be achieved. It will happen again in this beautiful weather. It is fantastic.
This was a chance to catch up with long-lost friends. The last Durbar took place in 1994. Many hadn't seen each other for 20 years.
It is great to be here, being the 60 plus or 67 years old, to represent the regiment and celebrating this event. It is great.
I am very happy. There are so many Nepalese people, and the Gurkha, the second Gurkha, first Gurkha Rifle and second Gurkha Rifle, both of 2 battalion, anniversary for the 200 DK, celebrating for our SIRMOOR Rifle Battalion. So I'm very happy, really. And here, many Gurkhas people we meet, and then the European people, the British people also meet, and then so that I am really happy.
I think it's marvelous, and it's one of a lifetime gathering. It's quite sentimental and very emotional too, to see all the parade, people sort of marching out. I think it's just in there. It's beautiful.
More than 2,500 people have come here, many from all around the world, to be part of this occasion, not just to mark 200 years of service, but to share and celebrate a bit of regimental history. For many, this is history in the making, and it's an occasion we remember for years to come.
It's just staggering. I've seen people that say I haven't seen for years, and they're so enthusiastic. I mean, of all the regiments, we're all very close. All the Gurkha regiments are big families. The 2nd Gurkhas in particular, having had 2 battalions for a very long time, until pretty much just before amalgamation in '94, is a very, very big family. And the SIRMOOR Club, Nepal and in UK, who were the SIRMOOR Rifles originally, are very big organisations. For me, they really are very much my parent family within the Brigade of Gurkhas. So to see my wonderful old friends, many I haven't seen for 20 plus years, 25 years in some cases, and to see them and take off where we left off, basically. It's been absolutely fantastic. I confess I had a tear in my eyes as we marched around on the parade there, because these are the people I've grown up with, basically. I owe them a great deal.
Bahadur Gurung is 101 years old. He joined the army in 1940 and fought throughout the Second World War across the Middle East and Southern Europe. Accompanied by his son, he said he didn't think he'd be alive to see this day. Many shared his joy. More than 800 people from the UK had made the journey, while others had travelled from even further afield.
At the moment, about 823 people is coming through from the UK to celebrate on this G200 celebrations. I feel very, very proud. I met my instructors where I training in here. And by this camp, I was the first intake who started joining the British Army. I can see where I ran, where I did in my initial joining in the British Army, which is I started from this camp, 1979.
I was so privileged to work with the Gurkha families from 1987 until they left Hong Kong. I worked largely in the Gurkha Family Hospital at Gallipoli Lines in Hong Kong, and I had the most wonderful experience, professional experience of my life doing so. We've all aged terribly, of course, over the last 25 years. But when I do recognise people, there's such a warmth of feeling for each other, I think, that makes me realise how lucky I was.
To be a part of today is a absolute, fantastic occasion. To be able to host their final Durbar, especially on the year of G200 in British Gurkhas POKHARA, is an absolutely wonderful experience. And just seeing them all today out there on parade, so many different ranks from different areas of Nepal and the UK, and no doubt other countries across the globe. It was absolutely fantastic. Today we saw, just under 3,000 people on parade, but every year still we have 10,000 applicants coming for about 200 to 250 places to join the British Army within the Brigade of Gurkhas. So yeah, there is still very much an absolutely enormous interest across Nepal to join, and I think the piece today in Pokhara is clearly very important, but the external sort of events going on outside the camp over the next few days are equally important, so we can share this momentous occasion with the public of Nepal.
With every celebration in Nepal, there is always music and song, and a military tattoo added a bit of splendour and show. Filling the local stadium, the band of the Brigade of Gurkhas and the Nepal Army Band entertained the crowds with cheers and applause as they played the regimental songs many had so longed to hear again. And even after the event, the party spirit didn't stop, with songs continuing late into the night. Years may have passed, Nepal may have gone through many changes and challenges, but the relationship remains. And in this anniversary year, the pride and friendships live on.